Good morning, guys. We're back working on the Dart today. Yesterday, I ran down to Hall's Garage in Scituate. He had another white car just like this. They pulled the door and the fender and a new rim for me. So today what we're going to do is we're going to work on getting this door on. So the door is sitting up against the vehicle here. The new door did not come with a mirror, so we'll have to pull that off the old door. Otherwise, it is the exact same door, same color. So we shouldn't really have to do anything other than bolt it up and line it up. We're going to pull our bolts out here. These are 15mm bolts. Just going to kind of sit those off to the side here. Stick the harness back in there so that doesn't get in the way. Unfortunately, the window on this one is up, so it's going to make it a little bit more challenging to get into place here. All right. So now we got one side latched. Let's see if we can line these hinges up here and get a bolt or two in it just to support it, and then we'll play with the alignment of the door and make sure it lines up appropriately. Okay. All right, now we get two bolts in. The door is actually back on the car. And we'll now play with the alignment and connecting of the electronics. This definitely works better if you have a helper. I don't have a helper today. You can see where the old hinges lined up. There's kind of like a dirt mark. That's what I'm using as my guide for now. The last couple of bolts to put on. We'll have to look up torque specs for the bolts. There we go. Let's get this harness reconnected here. Works pretty good. All right, we got one last piece to go, and that's this adapter here, or this, not adapter, the this rod in here that you got to pull out and attach to the body of the car. It keeps the door from springing all the way open, and you can see it shuts much better now. So we shouldn't, now when it goes outside, it shouldn't get any water leaking in there because the other door was actually bent. The frame of the other door was actually bent down here because of the collision. The other pieces that I got yesterday was this fender. You can say it's pretty dirty. They must have had crash wrap over it at one point. So I'll have to figure out how to clean all that off. It's like a sticker residue. Before I can actually hang this, I have to fix this mess down here, whatever. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix that because the fender won't sit on it. So I may have to get a puller and pull it back. I'm gonna probably try and fix that myself. It's just a rocker panel, and it's not up into the A-pillar or anything. It's literally just this corner here. So we may try and fix that so that I can hang the fender on it, and you know, and at least get some of this nose back together. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna pull the front tires off. I'm gonna pull the front wheel well cover on the driver's side so that I can look at how this is situated on the other side so that I can get a better idea if that's something I can tackle and straighten out or not. So I got the driver's side tire off, and that was fun. I had to get a little creative on how I got it off. So I had to get a little creative on how I got it off. The studs or lugs or whatever you want to call them, they're all rounded. Somebody had rounded them, so I couldn't get the right size socket on. Just like I had trouble with the right front. So I took a couple of sockets and I had to whale them on, and they were so tight I couldn't even get the Milwaukee impact gun to break them loose. I had to drop the car down off the jack stand, use the weight of the car and the breaker bar and a long piece of pipe on the end of the breaker bar just to crack them loose. So, and then once I got them loose, the tire itself didn't want to come off. It was, you know, corroded to the wheel hub. So had to get a little creative there. So now that we've got that out of the way, now we can work on going back to the original project of taking the inner wheel well fender out so we can kind of see how things look under there. step working on this dart. We're going to work on getting this core support out of the way, which means we have to strip it down. So the first thing to pick up where we left off last time is I have to finish removing this plastic shroud, which unfortunately, and I'm not sure why they did this, they didn't put, they must have routed the transmission cooler lines through the shroud. There's no slit in the shroud to be able to pull the shroud or that piece of plastic off without removing the lines. Seems kind of silly. So what I'm going to show you is how to remove these lines, and then we can continue on. I have a pan handy for this. So these lines have these black covers or these plastic covers over them, and they have these little clips here that hold them in. So just take a small flat blade screwdriver like this, and it's kind of it may take you a 1 or 2 try. There you go. See that little clip that's popping out there? You don't want to lose that. I think they come right off. I don't believe they stay in the line. So like that. Alright, see, we got this clip off in my hand. Lines are probably corroded in there, but the line should come off. So we're going to do the same thing to this guy over here. There are four clips that hold the cooler on here to the condenser in the front, and they just squeeze in there. Alright, so you can see I got the cooler off. I got one of the lines off. All they do once you get the clip out is they pop apart. You just kind of gotta wiggle them. There we go, just like that. They're just a little corroded together. So we'll just empty that into a bucket. We'll probably put a baggie over this just to keep dirt from getting in and oil from dripping out. Now we can take off our piece there as well. Snake our lines through here like so. There's 1, there's 2. And we'll wipe the fluid off of it. Before we can go ahead and remove the core support in the dart, we need to disconnect the radiator, disconnect the fan, the AC condenser, and any of the other components that live in the core support, so that we can pull the core support out. There is actually a drain cock on this radiator. I couldn't find it before. I just poked around. It's right below this coolant line. So because this is pretty full, instead of just popping it off and letting it go everywhere, we're going to drain the radiator first. A lot of times you can pull the upper radiator hoses and there's not much in them, so that was kind of what I was trying to do, but that's not the case with this. This guy's packed full of fluid, so we'll drain it. I'm going to go find a bucket and we're going to open it up. We'll open the drain up and we're going to drain it, and then we'll be able to disconnect it. So we found the drain cock, we've got that open. There's actually a secondary one up here to let a little bit of air in so you can drain the full system. It's a little bit different than what I've been used to. So once this drains, we'll pull the upper and lower radiator hoses, let any residual stuff drain out. We have a washer bottle for the windshield wipers that we've got to disconnect. We've got to disconnect the AC condenser unit, and then the core support. We've got to do the hood latch. Then the core support should pretty much come out once we release the 6 bottom bolts on it, and we can get a kind of better look at what we're dealing with here. Right here, this is where the drain plug is on this car. Guys, so we found the drain cock, we've got that open. There's actually a secondary one up here to let a little bit of air in so you can drain the full system. It's a little bit different than what I've been used to. So once this drains, we'll pull the upper and lower radiator hoses, let any residual stuff drain out. We have a washer bottle for the windshield wipers that we've got to disconnect. We've got to disconnect the AC condenser unit, and then the core support. We've got to do the hood latch. Then the core support should pretty much come out once we release the 6 bottom bolts on it, and we can get a kind of better look at what we're dealing with here. So that's a drain. I'm going to disconnect the hood latch. You can see I've got a piece of wood propping up the hood for now. We have some harnesses down here. We'll take our trim tools, pop these guys off, and we're going to disconnect the windshield washer bottle, or fluid bottle as well. All right, there we go. These we might need we need a long tip. The lower radiator line, I'm opting to kind of pull the core support out a little bit here just so that we can gives me a little bit more room back there to work. The last thing that we've got over here, guys, is I got to figure out how this radiator hose, this lower one, comes off. I thought it came off just like the transmission cooler lines, but I could be wrong. This guy did come off just like I thought it did. Again, just kind of stuck on there a little bit more than I was expecting it to be. So now we've got everything disconnected, and we should be able to tip this up, drain the rest of the coolant out, and get it out of the way. We have the core support off of the dart. If you were to look head on at it now that it's off, you can see this frame rail, or the right front frame rail, is off probably by a ½ an inch, pushed in towards the engine. This guy looks okay, thankfully, so if anything, it's going to just be that one frame rail that's got to get kind of cocked back out or replaced. Like I said, this guy looks pretty straight. If you compare it with the lower rail, that one you can see is visibly out by a little bit. So we're going to work on doing some measurements here at some point in the near future. I was able to find all the measurement points for the car. I believe it's through the iCar website, and I'll post the description or the link in the description. Unfortunately, I don't have a tram gauge yet. I'm going to order one so that we can do some measurements together and see how far off the frame rails actually are. So these are all in millimeters, and I've written down in inches what they should be. So I need the tram gauge to confirm. I did measure some of these points with my tape measure this morning. They're pretty darn close. So if anything is off, it's just going to be this frame rail on this right hand side. So again, I'll put the link to the description. These collision information sheets from iCar, I believe it's iCar, they give you all the manufacturer's specs on how to fix it, what the dimensions and stuff are supposed to be, etc. So real handy to have if you're working on a car like this. If you guys like what I'm doing with this Dart and some of the other projects on my channel, please like and subscribe below. Leave me some comments. You can hit me up on Instagram, ACHubbard117. I'll give you some more pictures of kind of behind the scenes type stuff. So again, if you like what I'm doing here with this stuff, guys, please like and subscribe below, and feel free to check out the other videos on the Dart. I'm working on bringing some more content to the channel. So again, please like and subscribe below or follow me on Instagram. Thanks, guys.